And welcome back, everybody, to Double Down, where we have a breaking news segment coming out of Florida. Joining us to cover it, as always, on all of our breaking news stories is Lauren the Bettor. And this came down just last week, where the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has overturned the federal district court in determining that the compact that was signed between Governor Ron DeSantis, where have you heard that name, and the Seminole Tribe to approve sports gambling in Florida is actually permissible. So it had been struck down by the district court. Interesting situation in Florida, just to set it up. And then Lauren, you can comment. I think it was in 2021, the state legislature passes a law that says that we're going to amend our compact with the Seminole Tribe, and we're going to allow them to have roulette and craps. Important to people like me. I like craps. But far more importantly, we're going to allow them to do sports betting, both on-site and online betting. So very, very unique situation, I believe, compared to any other state so far, where the deal was we're giving one tribe the monopoly on sports betting in the state. And we're going to say that all the sports betting is happening on tribal land because that's where the servers are, even though people are going to be sitting at their homes or driving around making the sports bets. We're going to say that it's all taking place on Indian land, and therefore it's all kosher as far as Indian gaming law. Well, that got challenged. I think it was one of the racetracks that challenged it. District court said, no, if the betting is not taking place on Indian land, if it's somebody sitting at home placing the bet. And then the ruling that just came down last week is that the appeals court, made up of 3 judges, overturned the district court and said, no, under federal Indian law, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, it says nothing about that. You're perfectly fine to establish that the betting is taking place there, and you're free now to bet on sports. There's still some appellate things that need to happen, some requests for rehearing and so on before they could go live. But it appears that decision is going to be hard to overturn. Maybe it'll go to the Supreme Court. What say you, Lauren the Bettor?
I say a lot. First of all, your law degree shows that was impressive. I think that's the most
Thank you.
Explanation of that I'm impressed. Well, and really the thing with Florida is there's never really, when stuff happens in Florida, you're always like, I don't know, do I want to hear it? Florida's a weird state, right? This was an exciting piece of news, though, to your point. So there's a lot of things in play. I think you summarized it really well. Obviously, it kind of opens up this question of, well, if the server's on tribal land, but the betting is happening on somebody's couch, not on tribal land, is it still on tribal land? So it raises all these questions. And so to your point, is it over yet? I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of different groups. And I think we've begun to see some of kind of the anti-gaming groups that are out there say that, hey, it's not actually up to a judge to legislate sports betting. This is actually up to the voters of Florida per Florida law. So that's one standpoint. So I could see, now per the judge ruling or the overturning of the ruling, theoretically, Seminole could begin offering sports betting again. And they were doing that originally 18 months ago-ish via Hard Rock. So Florida residents had 2 awesome weeks of sports betting. Unbeknownst to them, it was only 2 weeks before it all got shut down.
By the way, I was going to ask you that the 2 weeks when it was up and running, was that only brick and mortar on site at the casino or full online?
Or online.
Online. Yeah. So it was online for a couple of weeks and then it got shut down.
Everybody got the nice taste of it all. So
and which company were they working with? Do you know?
Which sportsbook?
Yeah,
it was Hard Rock.
Hard Rock's, because they have their own sports betting outfit.
Sports betting app. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that.
I know. Yeah.
Is Hard Rock Sportsbook online in other states?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. But you don't hear about it that much. It's just not near as big as the others.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think on that point, every book kind of has a niche. So Hard Rock, I think, corners one element of it, but obviously got a good thing going with what they had established in Florida. I'm not sure if that would continue necessarily in the event that Seminole says yep, let's start it up again. But I think it'll take a little bit of time for everybody to kind of see like where does this ultimately go. I think the point around does this actually sit with the Florida voters versus the judicial, branch? I don't know. I actually don't really know the answer to that. I know it's played out different ways across different states based off their respective state laws. I'm not a Florida state expert. But I think it does raise some interesting questions, and I think like it goes back to a lot what we've talked about before of, when it's a state that's entering the market late, so to speak, it's not one of the early states to adopt sports betting. I think there's generally a little bit more of kind of this like, openness to it. So, there will always be groups who protest anything. I think when it comes to kind of the vice industries, those groups can be louder. And I certainly understand that. But I think, when we see, Governor DeSantis, who, maybe he'll be our next president, kind of being part of that discussion in progressing sports betting in Florida, I think that sends kind of an interesting message to, other state leaders who are in states that don't legalize sports betting, because there is still sort of a divide, I think, from a political party standpoint. So
yeah, well, it did get real. It's going to get real political because I was just reading that the tribe gave a ton of money to DeSantis. His PAC got $2 to $3 million from the tribe. All the state legislators, primarily Republican, got lots of money from the tribe. So
power of the purse. Yep.
Yeah. And then I think this idea of granting a monopoly to one tribe to run the entire state. I mean, first of all, we know in general, monopolies are almost always a bad thing. So for a state to make a decision that we're going to create a monopoly in such a large industry like that is really a questionable decision. Legally, it theoretically could be challenged because, you do have antitrust laws and so on. I mean, the flip side of that is, well, a lot of tribes have a monopoly on gambling in various states. California is a perfect example where I am. There's a lot of tribes, but the tribes as a whole have been essentially given a monopoly on casino gaming. But here's one tribe being given a monopoly, which is pretty unusual. That was not part of the legal challenge as far as I know, but it could be. But certainly from a policy perspective, usually you'd like to see competition.
Oh yeah, certainly. And I think we've seen some states, even tribal element aside, some states have gone with exclusive operators to, provide sports betting on behalf of that state's lottery. Oregon's a good example. Oregon has the state lottery contracted with DraftKings. So the mobile sports betting app of all of Oregon is DraftKings. DraftKings obviously proven product that people like. But to your point, competition breeds innovation, ultimate, benefits to the consumer, all sorts of things. So, and we've seen it play out in court before too, on antitrust things, at points when, there was contemplation that two of the big guys, and I won't say their names, but it was publicly known, that talked about them merging, and antitrust laws shot that down. So, it'll be interesting to see, to what extent do those concepts apply to tribes. And at what point may that get challenged in Florida? Maybe it won't get challenged in Florida. But yeah, Florida will be really interesting because when it comes to, anytime you look at a state map, whether it's like electoral colleges or the electoral college that is, or, just state GDP, Florida's one of the big guys. It's like Florida, Texas, California. So California and Texas have not legalized sports betting. So Florida's kind of the big state that's about to do it, of those that had, not legalized it yet, like the New York and New Jersey. It'll be interesting, just even from a consumer behavior perspective. Forget like the actual app that's being used, but it's like how popular is sports betting? I would venture to guess it's that side of the Mississippi. We got SEC, we got, lots of pro sports team. Like I imagine Florida will show that sports betting is a great boom for the economy, to join forces with, all the taxes Disney pays too, because that also helps Florida out.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty huge in Florida. It looks like it probably could go live within the next month or so, just reading about as far as these appeals and so on. Unless a stay is put in place, within about a month, they theoretically could be live. That's it. That's all we got time for on our breaking news segment. We get 10 minutes over. Lauren the Bettor, thanks for joining us with that Florida update. Thank you all for watching and listening to Double Down with Breslo. I want you to smash that like button.
In a world where secrets have consequences and lies can't be hidden forever, immerse yourself in the gripping new thriller No Lie Lives Forever by Todd M. Schoenberger. Join Wall Street hedge fund manager Travis Carmichael as he delves deeper into a web of corruption and conspiracy, finding himself entangled in a high-stakes game where souls are at stake, and trust is a luxury he can't afford. Critics and readers can't get enough of this heart-pounding page-turner, calling it a masterfully crafted suspense novel that will leave you breathless. No Lie Lives Forever is a masterfully crafted thriller that will leave you guessing until the very end. With its intricate plot twists and unforgettable characters, this is a must-read for fans of suspense and mystery. From the mind of acclaimed author Todd M. Schoenberger comes a novel that will challenge your perceptions and keep you turning the pages late into the night. Critics and readers alike can't get enough of No Lie Lives Forever. It's been hailed as a gripping roller coaster ride, a true page-turner that will leave you breathless. Don't miss your chance to uncover the truth. Immerse yourself in the suspenseful world of No Lie Lives Forever by Todd M. Schoenberger. Available now on Amazon and at finer bookstores near you.